Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you. It is about 9:35 here on our Thursday evening. Got some thunderstorms rolling through western Oklahoma. We're going to take a look at those and the rest of your forecast here for tonight as we head on into the weekend as well. Thanks for joining me out there in the world of social media on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter X and Rumble. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow the page that you're currently on. That way you get notifications when I do go live. We cover severe storms when it comes to tornadic conditions and or high-end severe thunderstorms. Otherwise, we do just live forecast discussions when there is something of interest to talk about. Now, we will notice the calendar says May 30th, so it's not be much longer, and there won't be much to talk about. We're going to be in that summer heat where it's just dry and hot, and all you hear is the word heat dome, and when will it ever end? So I'm looking forward to those days. Get a little bit of a break, right? It's funny, man. There's always a balance. You got to have the good with the bad to make it all work out. Out there currently, let's see. I've got some clouds on the horizon. I'm looking out to the west. So on the western horizon, we do have some thunderstorms you can see just from the AT's weather cam. By the way, the Facebook broadcast channel and the other channels I did post where you can join the links or support the outfit here, so you can do that as well. If you'd like a Tempest weather station, which is what you see there at the bottom, you can scan this QR code at any time or plug in the promo code TEAMAT, save you a few bucks on one. That's what it looks like, the picture here just to my left. And so right now, 70 degrees, so it's not too shabby. Now, again, a little bit on the humid side. We're going to reduce that humidity, though, coming up next week. But for this weekend, you're still going to feel a little bit of it out there. All right, let's get on with the radar view. Let's take a look at how that's percolating. If we look out here across the body of the state, we have temperatures into the upper 60s and lower 70s. But if you look out west, you do see this line of thunderstorms, and it stretches from around far northwest Oklahoma, around Laverne, Fort Supply, Sharon, Woodward, Shattuck, Arnett. Really light stuff up there. And then you get to the meat and potatoes once you get down closer to the I-40 corridor around the Sayre area. Some of these have hail algorithm triggers up around a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch. So remember, a severe thunderstorm criteria hailstone is about 1 inch in diameter. Southward from there, back into the border to Kansas. Also some more heavy thunderstorms on the way down to Childress. We'll zoom in here. We'll also show you the movement on these. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued around 9:12. It continues until 10 o'clock for this area. Radar indicated hail size up to around 0.88 if you want to get specific, and wind gusts up around 60 miles per hour. Locations, here we go, Elk City, Sayre, Cheyenne, Hammond, Canute, Butler, Strong City, Foss Reservoir, Angora, Morewood, Crawford, Roll, Durham, Berlin, and Dempsey. If you want to look at the time of arrival on these, for at least for the short term, up to about the next hour, you're looking at Elk City, of course, right about now and about the next 5 to 10 minutes. And you got Hammond, Canute, Foss, Butler about 10:07, Burns Flat 10:11, Clinton right around 10:26, Bessie also, and then Arapahoe around 10:28. Now, on this thunderstorm cluster down south from there, let's see, this guy here also moving to the east at about 31 miles per hour. This severe thunderstorm warning also covers Sayre, Mangum, Hollis, Eric, Carter, Willow, Gould, Delhi, Vincent, Goudet, Madge, Brinkman, McQueen, and McKnight. Time of arrival, let's take a look at that as well. See what the algorithms kick out for you. So there's Gould about 9:50, Carter also. We got Willow 9:56, Duke around 10:09, El Dorado at 10:12. That name may sound familiar. It's where that big tornado was earlier in the month. We had Granite, Sentinel, Martha, and Lone Wolf between 10:13 up around 10:23 or so. And then Olusti routing up at 10:30. So those are our severe thunderstorms out here. We're probably going to continue those severe thunderstorms as they truck eastward. Marginal on the hail size, but winds 60 miles per hour, maybe even higher in some small areas. So we'll be a little bit gusty out there tonight. Otherwise, that is where your bulk of the activity is right now. Things are quiet here in Oklahoma City. And if you're wondering, will this activity make its way to Oklahoma City? Is it going to go like this? Or is it going to go more like this and like this? Well, stay tuned. We're going to answer that question here in 2 shakes. Speaking of which, let's get to those shakes. Temperatures out there today, we topped that into the upper 70s and mid 70s. This little cooled area here from some clouds and some rain earlier today. They didn't get a chance to rebound much, but we did see lots of sunshine. You did see temperatures climbing back into the mid 80s even out here in western Oklahoma, close to 90 in the Panhandle and down in southwest Oklahoma. So this time of the year, you can get pretty toasty pretty quick. If you do look at the big picture, that morning activity has progressed all the way down now into southeastern Texas and Louisiana. So there's our first MCS cluster. MCS stands for Mesoscale Convective System, and that's just a very large region of showers and storms. It's also synonymous with the term squall line, which is kind of what forms in these clusters. So here's another one up here in Colorado that's making its way to the east. Here's another one here that started in Texas Panhandle, it's making its way to the east. Here's another one here in western Texas. It's making its way to the east, and yet another one on the Mexican border on down south. So obviously this active pattern still continues as we start to round out our work weeks. We get more of these clusters going on. Here's a look at the severe weather outlook here for the remainder of tonight into tomorrow morning. So there's that slight risk here in yellow. Green is where the thunderstorms will start to weaken as they move into Oklahoma City and in this little green shaded area. Otherwise still pretty potent all the way down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If we do look at the extended as far as where the instability comes back into play for more widespread severe weather, the AI algorithms are finally picking up on Monday, whereas a large area of Oklahoma is stretching up to the north and east. Storm Prediction Center doesn't have anything yet, but they will, because conditions as far as the Cape and shear continue to show up in the data, and we'll look at that. Matter of fact, I'll just jump into that right now so that way you can understand what it looks like. So the colors represent the stronger Cape values, the shear, the triangles. The larger the triangle spread indicates the more turning with height that you have. So in other words, here's a good south vector from the wind, a mid-level vector from the southwest, and an upper level vector from the west. That's really good turning. It's over 90 degrees of turning. So that's good for rotation for thunderstorms. All right, so let's go ahead and see what this looks like. As I go into tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll start to see those colors pick back up here across the body of Oklahoma here Sunday afternoon. So in other words, our instability starts to increase out here where you get some thunderstorms that will tap into that and become a little on the stronger side for that example. If you do look at the wind shear, the knots here on this particular case for Sunday afternoon, a little weak, about 20 knots in all these different levels. Cape values up around 5,000. So it's a deal where you have high Cape and weak speed shear, but still some good directional shear. You can sometimes get a tornado out of this deal, a lot harder to do so. You really need a little bit better speed shear, but as we get into the latter part of our spring season in the summer, we kind of trade off speed shear for raw instability. Here's a look at Monday afternoon. Same idea. These values just climb up really high out across western Oklahoma. Even the body of the state is getting a lot more unstable, so that means any thunderstorms here on Monday will also be quite a bit potent, when that's what the AI algorithm was hinting at. And then here's Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday, things just get off the charts ugly when it comes to instability. I don't know what color this is, but it's a gross color. Cape values up around 6,000 joules per kilogram. Also some good directional shear out there and even some speed shear. So these are knots up around 30, 35, 40 miles per hour. Still have a little bit of cap here where I specifically just kind of picked a random spot. So what that could mean is we may have a few tornadoes around the state on Tuesday just based off of this outcome alone. We have plenty of time to talk about that, but that is kind of how the severe weather pattern looks. And then after that, look what happens on Wednesday. Where does it go? Not in Oklahoma. It's shoved way down the Gulf. That means a big pattern change where we get to quiet down and chill out for a while for next week after Tuesday. So that's good. I mean, several dry, boring days ahead up to that point, and a lot less humidity, therefore much better when it comes to temperatures and just outside when you're doing some evening barbecuing. Here's a look at the forecast here model for the radar reflectivity for tonight. Let's zip this on into 10-11. So there's a capture of those showers and storms down here in southwest Oklahoma. So let's see how they progress as we go to midnight from around Wichita Falls to Lawton. As we head into the 1 o'clock hour, you start to see how this little bow echo starts to take shape. Right, that's where you have those strong, damaging straight line winds that usually come in with that. That's why you got to watch for winds in excess of 60 miles per hour when that happens. That's across the Red River Valley. So there's 2 a.m. Now the north end starts to weaken a little bit as it heads in Oklahoma City, as you can see. South end still going strong. As we head to 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, things really kind of take a nosedive down south into Texas, bypassing a good chunk of Oklahoma with the exception of the southern counties. There's 6 o'clock in the morning. Some lingering light showers around Oklahoma City metro area. Otherwise, still some thunderstorms down there in southeast Oklahoma. So at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, expect a few scattered showers. Might even hear rumble of thunder. Nothing severe or anything for a Friday morning, but wet roadways is more likely. On Tulsa, also getting a little bit of that action, especially you had from mid-morning to late morning. So there's lunchtime. There you have some scattered showers and a few thunderstorms there around the Tulsa area and points east and southeast of McAllister and Fort Smith in the afternoon for Friday. But you see the body of the state, again, for 2/3 of Oklahoma, looks to be mostly dry. On the back end of this upper level low that's over here that's exiting the state, sometimes you get a little wraparound, isolated showers. They're few and far between, though. This particular model didn't really pick up on a whole lot of them. There might be a signal. There's a random one. There's a random one. There's a random one. Otherwise, the bulk of the activity is moving away and out of Oklahoma for Friday. Now, here's a look at Saturday, a repeat for Friday night and a Saturday morning, but we talked this before. The instability doesn't seem to be as strong with this round, so as it moves into the state, the models do have it falling apart by early Saturday morning. So there's only a few passing clouds to the body of the state as you get up Saturday morning to enjoy your cup of coffee. Otherwise, Saturday's looking quiet, looking good across the state. And then we're going to kind of zip on into Saturday night and Sunday morning. We're going to repeat the pattern again. Do we get a northwest flow event? Do we get a squall line? What does the model say? Well, here's Sunday, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. You know what it does? It falls apart again. So it doesn't have as much favorable conditions, looks like, for these things to hang together on both of those mornings. So that means northwest Oklahoma and the panhandle for Oklahoma is the best shot at getting any more additional rainfall for those 2 time frames. That means the body of Oklahoma for the weekend looks pretty good. So it's good for you out there on boaters and lakes and that kind of stuff. Now the earlier data had this stuff kind of holding together, and I'm going to peek ahead to see what the new data did with that. Let's see, let's go on into Sunday, 4, 5, 6. See, there's the other version of the non-high res, and it kind of keeps it together for the morning hours, and it kind of keeps it going. So if we still keep this trend, which is what the last trend was we looked at noon today and prior days, northeast Oklahoma may have to deal with some midday and afternoon showers and storms. If you are on the lakes or do plan on being on the lakes, just know there's some mild discrepancy as whether or not this holds together. But if it does, it's going to affect the northeastern quadrant of Oklahoma. Otherwise, the rest of the weekend looks good statewide. Now, down south in Dallas, we talked about those thunderstorms rolling through tonight. So let's take a close-up look for you guys. Here's 4 o'clock in the morning. That's a pretty meaty squall line moving in. So you're going to have pockets of damaging wind within this. Small, to medium-sized hail, nothing too big. It's mostly a wind event for this time of the night. There's 5 a.m., so some heavy thunderstorms moving through, so some of you might lose some power as a result of that. And that squall line moves through at 6 a.m., 7 and 8 a.m. through Tyler, down to central Texas, Waco, Bryan College Station, etc. More activity back out in western Texas this period at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Otherwise, that first round pretty much starts to move out of the state. There's a little secondary weak round that moves through the metro area for Dallas-Fort Worth on down south and west toward Waco and Killeen. Those a little bit stronger in the afternoon down there, but otherwise not a big deal for Dallas. And then after that, what do you got? Central Texas on Saturday evening, a few thunderstorms around. Otherwise, mostly quiet over the weekend as well for Texas after a pretty busy last couple of days. Rainfall amounts here in Oklahoma. Let's take this on into the extended 60-hour window. So let's try to capture the heavier rainfall here through Sunday morning. And it's got the bulk of it, of course, down to our southwest and west here for tonight. And then also for our Friday afternoon. So this is a combination of morning and afternoon down here. So sometimes you can get some heavy amounts up to around 5 inches, where you get the some training over the same area or just some really big, strong storms. Same thing down in Dallas-Fort Worth. You guys can pick up a quick 2 to 3 inches. Might be some spots a little bit higher than that. So that could lead to some brief flash flooding anytime you have an outcome like that. Otherwise, you can see it's feast or famine, right? Because up here, you almost got anything. And it just depends on where you are in the state. You don't see a whole lot of rain, just a little bit. But hopefully, everybody's gotten enough to get them going here as we round out our May. Temperatures for tomorrow will be primarily into the 70s across the eastern half of the state and 80s across the western half of the state. Here in Oklahoma City Metro, we'll kind of split the difference. Right about 78 degrees for a daytime high for our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Warm back into the mid 80s. Let's see, we'll have a little bit drier air for the overnight. You can see that's a hint when you get a temperature down into the lower 60s. That is a hint of some drier air. Otherwise, that does not happen this time of the year. So it should be a nice morning for you on Saturday. Then more humidity starts to creep back in for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday ahead of that next big complex of storms we talked about, with the ability of having some more significant severe weather as temperatures climb back into the upper 80s to near 90. Then after that, it's not a dry heat, but it's just a less humid heat. So as you can see, this big change in dew point values from 72 to 65. So that means we'll knock down some of that humidity. It won't feel as bad, but otherwise it's going to be a little toasty as we do head into June. This does say June 6th, so 'tis the season. It is about time for all that. So that's what I got here for you. That is the latest on all this stuff. So I hope that was helpful for your timing and planning, all that kind of stuff. And if you're late and you just tuned in, here's a last little look at radar real quick, just to show you that things are quiet here in Oklahoma City. And these thunderstorms out here are mostly just pockets of wind and small hail, approaching now the Hammond, Elk City area, back out to Carter. Nothing tornadic is expected with any of this stuff, down around Hollis and Gould. And then, of course, we'll see if more storms develop and or these get a little bit stronger with low-level jet as they mark the way to the south and east. Sometimes the only thing you can watch out for squall lines is you occasionally will get an unpredictable QLCS tornado. So it's not a supercell classic tornado. It's more of just that weak little baby. I call them baby tornadoes. They're here one minute, gone the next. They form on the leading edge, and they're very hard to depict. They got really close to the radar. But like, for example, in this particular case here, all right, so let's say we're looking at this little line of storms. And then we're watching this guy right here, right? Okay, so obviously he doesn't have any mid-level rotation because it's not a supercell structure. It's a linear configuration. But what you do is, you see right here is an outflow boundary, this little green line right here that rushes out. So in other words, winds in here have come out of the storm. Well, you still have some inflow to winds right here in this particular area. So if you look right here, you see I have this little bit of a baby hook, we'll call it. That's just that little vorticity area here that causes little kink in the reflectivity structure. So sometimes these kinks mean nothing, and other times they can mean a quick little bitty spin up that's very, very tiny, very small, very weak, and that is what you have as a QLCS tornado. Now, the further they are away from the radar, which in this case, the radar is centered way over here, and this is the little kink we're looking at, you really can't get a good finite resolution to be able to detect it. So sometimes you will get tornado warnings on this, just because not really sure if it's there or not. If there's any type of velocity data at all that may suggest it, there might be a warning, or they might wait for some eyes on it if that's a possibility. But other than that, that's really all you have to deal with when you're talking about squall lines that move through, for that to be a situation to still consider yourself when you're talking about a tornado threat. It's not our typical stuff where we're talking about any storm in the environment can produce a tornado. That's not one of these things. These are one of these little freak things, and they're frustrating. We used to not even count them. Didn't even know they existed. So let's put it that way. They've been here all along, but we would just classify it as damaging wind. Like, oh, something went through last night, kind of a deal. That was, 20 years ago, but we've advanced quite a bit now with Doppler radar. But if the storm is still too far away from the radar, we're still limited on what we can see in that situation. But we do know, we've learned a lot more about them though, so we do know they're out there. We now get counted in the books, and that pads the EF0 to EF1 tornado counts. Those actually increased over the last 10 years, and it's because we've been throwing in these QLCS tornadoes. Prior to that, it was kind of a flat trend like all the other numbers. So it is what it is. Okay, so that was it for me. Devin says we got some hail in Elk City. How big was that hail? I'm going to guess it was probably either peas, maybe dime size, according to the radar predictions at that time. But thanks for that report. By the way, thank you for sending some stars tonight for those of you that did so. I see you, David. I can only scroll up so far on the list, but I do see David and Rachel. Thank you very much. And Angie, appreciate your support in that fashion. Make sure that you... Mark wants a meteorological lesson on how to read the basis of a forecast sounding. I've been doing that for years, man. Where have you been? I know you're not new here. So, Bonnie, I don't, an EF 1/2. I don't think you're not making an EF 1/2 unless you mean an EF 1 or 2. And either way, nobody wants that nonsense. Trust me. Let me think. Yeah, the forecast sounding, we do that a lot when we just kind of click stuff and we talk about, who's got the best ingredients. And we look at the basics, which is shear and instability. And the shear has to be either speed and or directional shear coupled with instability. And then we look for a really strong cap that prevents the whole thing from even happening or weakening and some other things. But yeah, I could, one day when I have time, I may do like a whole meteorological lesson that you guys can, opt in like a weather class deal. The problem with that is it takes a lot of time to put together, and I've got so much on my plate. You have no idea. It's just a fact. It's just a function of time. I don't have enough. If you guys can find me a way to stop time, you got it. Until then, we'll have to keep kicking it down the road until that day comes. I do appreciate, though, the idea in doing that. All right, let me see. I think that was it for me. Let me see if there was anything else. Check you guys out on YouTube, by the way. Thanks for putting your comments in there. Me and Okie, late to the party. Oh, good grief. And we cover all of North Texas, too. You're going to have to watch the replay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So Chrissy says, remember to hit the like button and hit the follow on the page, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Tap the bell, whatever it is. Hit the rumble. Whatever the platform contains, that way the algorithms know that the information that you're seeing is good, and therefore it'll keep sharing it. Otherwise, they penalize you. It's really weird. But anyway, all right. And then thanks again for you guys on Rumble and on Twitter X for tuning in as well. I see you, Magda. Thank you for the stars. Also appreciate it. And I think that's it. So Macy, I know you just chimed in, so you're late. We got some light rain coming in. All the heavy stuff will be down just south of us in southern Oklahoma and North Texas and southwest Oklahoma. So that's where that goes. You can watch the replay anytime after we do these live videos. That's it for me. You guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great weekend as well. All right? Take care.